If you're trying to fight imposter syndrome so that you can feel more confident and achieve some ambitious goals without feeling like someone will expose you as a fraud, then this video is for you. I'm Rosi, a family physician. I'm here to give you tools and advice to build your best life possible. Today's topic is one on personal development, requiring a lot of self-reflection and self-awareness. So get ready to go deep. Imposter syndrome is not a medical diagnosis or disease, but it's a widely recognized phenomenon. It's actually been termed imposter phenomenon by two psychologists, Pauline Clance and Susan Emes, back in 1978. They defined imposter phenomenon as an internal experience of intellectual phoniness and focused their research on women in higher education and professional industries, where they found those people experience imposter syndrome significantly. It's the feeling that we haven't earned our accomplishments or that our skills are not worthy of recognition. People experience imposter syndrome due to lack of confidence, over comparison, and the knowledge gap between what they know and what they expect themselves to know. I know firsthand because I've dealt with imposter syndrome a great deal since as long as I could remember. I still deal with it, even after years of clinical practice, exposing myself publicly on social media on the daily. Hell, I'm experiencing it now as I write the script to this video. Who am I to talk about imposter syndrome? I'm not an expert. Why would people want to hear what I have to say? If you're still watching this, I suppose you do want to hear what I have to say, and maybe I'm wrong about this self-doubt, so thank you. I have learned some great lessons over the years, and I'm so ready to share. I'm also still learning because this is a lifelong process. I'll start with the most memorable event, which is when imposter syndrome nearly stopped me from fulfilling my dream of becoming a doctor. This was back in 2010. I had completed 1 year of physical therapy. I had dreamt, literally aspired to be a doctor for years prior, but never thought that I'd be accepted or that I was worthy of even applying. Like, it wasn't even a consideration for me. And I think it's largely due to the environment that I was a part of. I didn't actually know anyone that completed medical school. I didn't know any doctors. I didn't go to school with particularly ambitious people. Anyways, I ended up applying to physical therapy, and my confidence was so low I didn't even consider applying to medical school after college, while a lot of my peers did. Physical therapy was tough. I enjoyed it. I learned more about the human body, and it confirmed my love for helping people and my passion for health. I made some great friends, and it wasn't until one of my physical therapy friends was accepted into medical school that I even considered applying myself. I was 20 years old at the time, and this was a massive undertaking. For anyone who's been through it, the medical school application process is grueling. You need to do research, you need to get referrals, you need to write extensive applications, go through the interview process, but something in me just said, go for it. Worst case and most likely case, they reject you, but it also helped that I had really good support at the time. My sister and my boyfriend and that friend that got accepted were my anchors. They were cheering me on, and let me tell you, that support was pivotal in my confidence at that time. I barely shared with anybody that I was applying out of fear that when I'd get rejected, they would judge me for it. Fast forward a couple months or a year later, after going through the entire process of applying to medical school, many sleepless nights, extensive interviews, insane amounts of self-doubt, I magically, and I say magic even though there was no magic, it was all hard work and grit, got an acceptance email in May of 2012. We were out celebrating my boyfriend's 22nd birthday, and I stepped out of the restaurant to check my emails, and I was shocked. I didn't believe it, so much that I convinced myself that they made a mistake. While family and friends wanted to celebrate me, I was putting it off as they needed to balance out the ethnic ratio. That's the only reason I got in. It's sad, but because my cohort was 90% French Canadians, I was convinced that I was accepted because they needed a non-white French Canadian girl to match their quota. I think of this now, 10 plus years later, and it's a little bit ridiculous. There is such a dedicated admission process that there was no way they accepted me because I wasn't white enough, or that I wasn't their typical white French Canadian. I actually am white, so this was literally something I conjured up on my own in order to confirm my own imposterism. Eventually, I went on to build my confidence in this area, realizing that I was just as worthy as anyone else. But it took work and it took time, and the experience taught me a few things. Firstly, if we count on others to believe in us, we'll never be courageous enough to make moves on our own behalf. It's sad to think that had my friend never applied to medical school, I probably never would have considered applying myself. So first and foremost, be your own best cheerleader. Secondly, something that's become more evident as I raise my own children is that who you surround yourself with impacts you immensely. Had I attended a different high school, been exposed to more inspiring adults, I probably would have believed in myself a lot earlier. Obviously, we don't all have the opportunity to choose our family or choose the schools we go to or whether we even go to school. But with social media being so accessible and literally at our fingertips, take YouTube as an example, witnessing other people's stories, journeys, successes, and even failures could bring us so much closer to believing that crazy is actually actually possible, that crazy is not so crazy, and that if you really wanted something, it could be possible. Surround yourself, whether it's your immediate environment or your virtual environment, with more of that inspiring, courageous, positive energy, and see that your potential and confidence grows. Finally, I learned that the only way you really know whether you're worthy of something is if you try. In the famous words of Coldplay, if you never try, you'll never know. Now here's another moment, much more recent in my life, where I experienced imposter syndrome, just to tell you that it is an ongoing thing, and I still do to an extent, but have learned to manage it so much better very recently. I'm about to expose myself in a serious way, but if I couldn't be vulnerable with you all, then I wouldn't be me. You know by now that I'm a family physician, a YouTuber, a health coach, but I also created a program. To some, this might be obviously great achievements. To me, it took a lot of self-reflection and stepping back to recognize that this is a lot of hard work and that I am doing a great job, but I haven't always been so good at recognizing that. Bottom line, I created this bomb-ass program, and I'll link it below, called the Mindful Movement Program, and it's a 4-week workout program, and it's helped over 100 women already build their best bodies, build their best selves. Yet when I shared it, I told myself, who are you to create a workout program? Why are you more qualified than anybody else? Who's gonna take your guide seriously? It was heavy, it was real, and it wasn't something I could just shake off. How did I get through imposter syndrome this time? Slowly, I got some phenomenal feedback, and I realized, shit, Rosie, you do provide value. You did make something worthwhile, and that evidently has helped so many people. The feedback comes to me every day, and I am eternally grateful for it. Now, objectively, I graduated in physical therapy, which is basically the appointed exercise prescription expert. More than that, though, I have over 10 years of experience with personal training, either training people one-on-one, more so with my own health journey. I have trained people privately, and I've learned a ton through my own journey. So what did I learn here? Imposter syndrome happens to people at all levels of experience, whether you're a beginner or an expert in your field. What helps is getting feedback that recognize your value and your performance. Sometimes we don't get that validation or recognition. So here's my advice. If you're in a situation where you don't think you're worthy of a raise, a new position, the recognition from colleagues, or a massive following, ask those around you how they've benefited from your service, your implication. Here are some examples for you to apply. Why do you think I deserve this raise? How has my channel, program, service helped you in any way? Go ahead, make a poll. What do you think I bring to the table? What qualities of mine make me right for this role? Although I try to avoid the need for external validation, when we're in a place where we're not reaching our greatest potential due to the fear that we're not worthy of it, or that we'll somehow be discovered as a fraud, I feel like validation is necessary and actually a super tool in these situations. The research from these two psychologists I mentioned earlier, Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes, found that the most surefire way to combat imposter syndrome is by talking about it. This way you'll realize that you're not alone. I think that if we get comfortable doing more of what we fear, for me it was making diagnoses and treatment plans on my own in clinical practice, or creating a workout program that I thought no one would want or use, that we develop the confidence that we are in fact not frauds, that we are worthy of recognition, celebration, and so on, that we do have something to offer. Finally, a big thing that I think leaves a lot of us feeling stuck is the idea that we should know everything already. So much of my career has been researching, learning, and consulting specialists, people who know better than me, whether it be a pharmacist, a psychologist, a specialist in the field. And at first I felt ashamed that I didn't know everything on my own, but then I realized that if I let go of should and realize that medicine is this vast field, and that as long as I'm willing to learn, I am providing the best for my patients, well, that's really all that matters. I'd love to hear what you think about this video. If self-improvement and learning ways to live your best life is something that interests you, please feel free to subscribe to this channel and share it with someone.